welcome. We are back with Fallout Wasteland Warfare, and this is Forged in the Fire. I am joined by the lovely John, Joe, Ryan, and Sam. Do you guys want to just briefly introduce yourself in that order, starting with John?
Sure. So my name's John Webb. I am the head of creative services for I was going to say for Fallout Wasteland Warfare, then for Modiphius. So basically, I look after all the incredibly talented artists, sculptors, graphic designers, photographers, Steve with AV, all the cool kids, as I like to call them. And as well as that, I'm the visionary, the overseer for Fallout Wasteland Warfare. So I kind of run the line, decide the top level stuff, what we're doing, what it's going to look like, who's doing what where, and then I have people like Ben who actually go and do the hard work for me. Ben's the project manager, so he's the one that makes things actually happen. I just stand at the top saying, make it look nice, please.
Nice. Joe?
Yeah, so I'm Joe. I'm one of the 3D sculptors for Modiphius. So I work on quite a few of the Fallout minis, along with my team, who's great. And I also do some of the Skyrim ones, but we're not going to talk about those ones on the stream specifically.
We will in an hour, but we're going to do it without
yeah,
you,
but
so
not
we
like
can be really
not
critical.
Fallout specific.
Excellent. Ryan?
Yeah, hi, my name's Ryan. You folks might know me from Wargames News Radio. You can find us on YouTube and all those fun socially things. We do all kinds of Fallout Wasteland Warfare battle reports, Fallout 2D20 stuff, some Elder Scrolls Call to Arms as well. And I've been lucky enough to be invited on this awesome stream to hang out with you fine folks and talk about some new Fallout Wasteland Warfare stuff that I've been dying to talk about for like probably the better part of 6 months. So this is really exciting, and happy to be here. Hey.
Amazing. And finally, Sam.
Wow. Okay, yeah, so I'm Sam, also from YouTube, much like Ryan here. You can find me on the Tabletop Hub, covering Fallout, Elder Scrolls as well. I've been practicing my surprised face and shocked face and kind of the oohs and ahs. Ryan and I, we've consulted trying to get the peak one.
Who's doing best on that?
I mean, I think we're trying to model the Owen Wilson kind of like, wow, you know,
wow.
like kind of gasped, like, wow, yeah.
Wow. That's good. That's good. Speaking of oohs and ahs and wows, John, what are we looking at?
Cool, yeah, so this is the cover for our next expansion, Forged in the Fire. And I think one of the things I've been really pushing on with the line is we're working on our printed material. Like, the miniatures are fantastic, and we just keep making more and more cooler miniatures, and we're going to come onto those in a minute. And I think the other thing I've been trying to do now is kind of balance that alongside the more printed material. And I think a big part of that for me was looking at art. So there hasn't been a huge amount of art in the Fallout line up until now, and a lot of what we've used has been Bethesda assets. This is the first book, and not the last book, where I've been able to source an artist. And this is actually an artist called Alexander who doesn't work for Bethesda, but has worked with Bethesda on some of the Fallout 76 artwork. Got in touch with them. Obviously, I'd seen their work through 76 and was like, hey, do you fancy doing some covers for me? And thankfully they said yes. And this is the first of hopefully a long line of Fallout covers.
Yeah.
So anyone familiar with this kind of little section of the Wasteland may recognize some of these characters, and they may appear in the coming slides. And yeah, it's really fun. I got to stretch my art direction chops, which I don't get to do very often. So I've been really enjoying getting back into a bit of AD. And yeah, I really want to just put the best front onto Fallout, and we'll talk about the books as we kind of go through this and what's happening in the future. But we started with New Vegas, we've then had Commonwealth, and each time we do a new book, I try and improve on what's in that book, and be that the cover art, be that how we present the contents, be that why we present the contents. And I think if you've been following along and you've been picking up the books, you'll have seen an improvement in the quality of the material, also now the contents. Each time we learn and we improve, and we'll talk about some of that tonight. But yeah, I just thought, let's start putting some really awesome covers on, and you may see another one before the night is out.
You may.
Yeah.
You may. With that in mind, should we look at some minis?
I think it's probably.
I don't know. Does anybody want to see those?
No, I mean I can mess up the cameras and audio another time if you want, but I'm happy to save that till later. Otherwise, I've got nothing else to do. All right then. So without further ado, the Raiders. the Raiders, the Forged. These guys are here. What do you want to say about these guys, John?
Yeah, so we've not seen the Raiders since Wave 2, I want to say was the Raider wave. And I know, funnily enough, I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and they're like, John, you need to do more Raiders. And I was like, hold that thought. So, yeah, one of the interesting things about the Raiders in Fallout is there are, there's your bog standard, if such a thing could be said, about a group of deranged, chem-fueled thieves and murderers. But then there's a lot of like subtypes, and so one of the things we're starting to explore is some of the subgenre of raider that exists. And the Forged are, like I say, if you've played this bit of Fallout 4, you're familiar with the kind of storyline around the farm and the Forged, the Saugus Ironworks. You'll be familiar with Slag and his crew of kind of really into fire in a way that's probably quite unhealthy. So they live in a big kind of iron smeltery that's still functioning, and they really kind of get off on fire, and they go through these bizarre like induction rituals, many of which are quite fatal. So we wanted to represent these characters. So you've got Slag and Bedlam, who's the kind of the boss, and one of the boss's hench people. And then there's a couple of different raider models, and one of the things I've been really pushing the team, it's something that if you listen to our previous stream, I like to torture poor Joanna and Johnny and the crew, and kind of really push what we can do. So we're really getting into our stride with Fallout and with the miniatures, and so these are some of the most modular minis we've done so far, but hold that thought. And so these all come with swappable heads, and I'm pretty sure these ones all have at least they've swappable arms as well, right, Joanna? They can all there's 2 weapon options for each body, and there are 3 heads that can be interchanged between any of the males and 3 between the females, or even across the things if you like a hairstyle and want to swap it over. So yeah, I mean, Joanna, I think you could probably talk about some of the work that went into this, because I'm pretty sure some of these are yours. But yeah, this is the kind of the modular phase of the project.
Yeah, so I mean, so I think basically like the sub characters, so like the male one, the female, male 2, like those ones on this set specifically I worked on. And then so all their heads are swappable, and then their arms are interchangeable. So that was fun figuring that out, because obviously you're having very, if not like fully different arm positions depending on the weapons, at least slightly. So it's just trying to figure out, like, okay, is this arm actually going to work with this pose? And if I pull it off, will the other arm fit? Same thing even with the heads, like you just got to make things fit. So it's not the biggest headache in the world, and I don't have any grudges towards John ever.
Not at all.
But no, it's super fun. And it's always nice to have like a different problem to solve, and it just makes it more exciting as well. And then obviously it's more customizability for the players and all of that. And Bedlam I did as well. Yes.
Nice.
So yeah.
Oh, they look awesome. That the power armor is just unreal. Having that, I mean, there's the one Raider power armor model available, but this looks like I can see a lot of kit bashing in a lot of people's futures with this one in particular. That's really great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a real, like, as well as, hey, I really like the Forge, I think the other thing you're really starting to see with the line is, if you're someone, I don't know, let's say like Julian, who likes to kit bash, we're providing more and more options. So, you buy a box, you get a couple of heads left over, you get a couple of arms left over, and maybe you've always fancied a Vault Dweller with a specific gun that isn't on the model. Well, we're starting to provide, indirectly some of those options. And whether you want to do the Force or you just like the outfit and you want to put someone else in it, I think there's a lot of flexibility within the line, and certainly a lot more to come, which again we'll come on to. So these are resin, to clarify, I've seen a few questions. We are a mainly resin company at the moment. That's what we're known for. But again, hold that thought. Let's see what the evening brings.
You never know.
You never know. I know. But yeah, so these are resin. But yeah, with a little bit of scalpel work and some head swaps and some arm swaps, I think you could put together some survivors out of this, some other raiders. And I just think it's a really cool set. I think the other cute nod, Crispy did Slag, I want to say. Pretty sure it's Crispy. Yes, it was Crispy.
Yeah.
And there's a really fun little detail in there. This was our first bobblehead that we sculpted for the line. if you've been following the STL releases, you'll know we've done the toys and bobblehead set. This was the first time we worked out how do you scale a bobblehead to work as a castable piece. And obviously, again, if you've played this bit of the quest line, the Sagos Ironworks where the Forge live is where you find one of the bobbleheads. So we snuck that onto the base as a cute little Easter egg. And I think, you know,
that's
anyone,
nice touch.
anyone who's been collecting the line, who's paying attention, keep an eye on the bases, because we do often throw little Easter eggs and little hints. And there's a miniature coming in wave 10, wave 9, and there's an Easter egg on it, and I'm going to do a competition when we get around to it to see if anyone can figure out what. There's a joke, basically. The entire model base is a joke, and I'm curious to see if anyone ever gets it. So there'll be a prize for the person that figures out what my lame humor is. But yeah,
that's
so
love it.
But that's wave 9, and we're not here to talk about wave 9. We're here to talk about wave 7. So.
Yeah, exactly. Anything else we want to touch on with the Raiders, or should we head on to the Survivors?
That flamer, I just saw it pop up on the. I heard some people saying in the chat about flamers. I was like, oh yeah, I haven't seen that. And then saw just there it is. Yeah,
it's one of the really nice ones.
The model.
The one thing I found, which is really, I just love these models, because when I was putting all these images together, I was just like, okay, which one's the duplicates? Because sometimes they're like, yeah, they're only swapping heads and/or arms, but actually they look remarkably different. And I was just like, had to have a good, solid think for a few of those. But yeah, I love these guys. They look so nuts. It's brilliant.
Yeah, the tiny little details on them. Sorry, Steve. The tiny little details on them are crazy. I think that's one thing that I get from this side of the receiving end of the miniatures. It's been crazy seeing even how the sculpts have become more and more detailed as we've gone on. It's even like it sounds really stupid, but the fact that their jeans are torn, like those tiny little bits, for me is like, oh my goodness, this looks awesome. But yeah,
we definitely, like, the team as a whole, like, really tried to not only just bring the Fallout nature alive from, like, the game itself, but each of those characters, as you can see, are wearing very similar, like, the same skin clothing, but each of them are slightly different. Like, we've gone in or like specifically on this set, like I've gone in and like each jacket will have like maybe some holes the same, and then other ones are completely different, like tears, stitches, whatever. So like there's enough of the original outfit that's there, and then just a few little tweaks and bobs, so it's not like copy paste each time, which I think is a nice touch.
Yeah.
And these guys look like they're the anyone who's played a game against a set of Enclave troops or something, laser rifles and incinerators, knows how devastating fire damage can be in this game. So yeah, but buckle up, because it's gonna get weird.
Yep, exactly. I think actually that's a good lean, because next up we've got some rather weird Survivors sets. So should we go for those? Here we go.
Yeah, so how often
So
do
cool.
people send messages and say, John, why are there no non-human survivors? Where are the ghoul survivors? And so I've been planning this one for quite a while, and it's finally time to deploy the non-humans. Oh, people who play survivors now have some new options, new troop type, lots of new characters, and yeah, I think Johnny did half of these, didn't he, from memory?
I think so.
Yeah, and the fidelity that we managed to sneak in there. So you can see there, Arlen stood on his Giddy Up Buttercup. Again, you've now seen that through the STLs, but this is actually where it appeared first because of the way time works. You've got the Nuka Cap lunchbox, the Voltec lunchbox, the Tato plant. Like, we really tried to go ham with how close to the kind of the in-game assets we can get, which is pretty impressive for a 32mm model.
Yeah.
And yeah, just some really cool bits. I don't think there's any optional parts in this from memory. It's been a while since I briefed these, because this is basically a character box rather than a troop box. But yeah, 5 new characters and a generic ghoul, but you can always just use them as ghoul survivors as well if you just want to put some ghouls in your army. Paint the t-shirt a different color and no one will ever know. So yeah, that's kind of all I've got to say, other than I think that's the thing. Everyone that's ever saying, "Oh, John, when are you going to do X?" The answer is always, at some point in an indeterminate future. Please be patient, and you'll know when we can tell you. So yeah, like all the good ideas you've had, we've probably had them too. It's just time is a thing, and I can only do so much in any given time. And I crack the whip with the sculptors, but they do need to sleep occasionally. So.
At least some days.
Sure, yeah. That's. I have a feeling that's going to be a pretty interesting box too, because ghouls, the way they work in the game, especially with more creatures and the Children of Adam who deal rad damage coming out now, which, like I mentioned before, fire damage is bad, rad damage is savage, having some survivor units that don't just get chewed up by a rad barrel would probably go a long way.
I actually think this is a great box even for the RPG expansion.
Oh, totally.
I think there's just such variety for like NPC characters in this box. It's unreal that you can keep it canon, like the characters as they are meant to be. But yeah, I think that I'm really excited about the possibilities with that.
Yeah, and I think that's a kind of an interesting note, really. Like, obviously, Wasteland Warfare. The what is Wasteland Warfare question is a question that I struggle with long into the wee hours of the morning. But like, there is always that I'm always trying to build the war game and build up people's factions, give people new options. But also, I always have the RPG in my head, and the people that play it narratively. This is what we do as a company, and so like absolutely be these NPCs, be these an encounter, be these part of the RPG session. And again, that's why a lot of the creatures that we do as well, like. I'm not sure many people are going to run a Brahmin army, but more power to you if you do. But absolutely, they're there for those NPCs and those RPG encounters, as well as scenarios. Maybe if you did the cattle rustling, the Brahmin rustling scenario arc that we did with Commonwealth. So yeah, like not every box has to be, hey, here's a cool new thing to put into my army. Sometimes it's, hey, here's a cool new like thematic narrative beat that builds the flavor of the Fallout world. So yeah, it's a really good point, Sam.
I would love to see Ryan, though. Ryan, if you could do a deep dive on like the faction pros and cons of running a Brahmin army.
Sure.
I want to see that video.
I'd be curious.
I would watch that.
I'm into it. Yeah, exactly. Well, I think there was something I know that they haven't shown up a lot. In some playthroughs, because I think there was an issue with the points. They were sort of like figuring out where they slot in. So I haven't seen a lot of folks run them in an army. But now I definitely want to see. I got to get a box of like 18 different Brahmins running around each, just full on stampede, right? Yeah.
Full on battle cow, correct?
Yeah. I saw someone asking in chat here, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, John. And I don't know if you know, but asking about the card packs for these. If there's going to be a book sort of style, because that Commonwealth book was just so good.
Yeah. So the book and cards is the way we're doing it, and that is partly, as I was sort of saying, like we're looking to improve the way we give information over and also expand the information we give, and like I say, like the stuff we're doing at the moment with book 9 and 10 is an expansion of what we did with books 6 and 7, and so there won't be a card pack in the original sense, partly that's a production thing, partly it's because we're trying to do this thing. So instead we're going to do this card and book hybrid. So you get the booklet with scenarios and the rules and some awesome painting guides. So Julian, who many of you have been following on the Facebook group, have seen a lot of his incredible work. He now is part of my crew and is doing the painting guides for me because I don't have time anymore, and he does a better job in all honesty. So that's really
he does
good.
do an amazing job. Yeah.
Like the other thing we're doing, and again you'll see it as the new books come out, we're also looking at onboarding, because that's the other issue. So you guys, you know how to build crews. You've been doing this long enough. Someone who's quite new to Wasteland Warfare is quite intimidating. So we're looking at ways we can smooth the journey in. And you give people a simpler experience, and then you say, right now, training wheels are off. Here's the app. Here's the full set of cards. Wild. And so this Forged in the Fire, you've seen the cover, I'm sure we'll loop around to it at some point. There's going to be a book, and there's going to be the cards are part of the book, and so there'll be basically I'm just trying to give a fuller experience, and the idea is it's not just cards on their own, it's the full hobby and gaming and creative experience now. That's with awesome cover artwork as well. And like I say, each book we do improves on the next one, so it's really hard. So there's things in this book that I already know are better in the next book because we learn lessons here, and that's one of the tricky things. So I think a good example I'll give you actually. So with Commonwealth, we did what we call the regional overlays, which are the sheets that tell you, here's the strange danger creature event decks. With Forged in the Fire, those are the same, but now the rules of those cards are included on the sheet, so you don't need to go away and get the cards and make a deck. It's all literally you can just have that sheet. And
that's
then in
awesome.
Capital, they will actually be separate sheets, so you won't even need the book at that point. You just have the sheet, put it next to your table. So like I say, each one we go, cool, that was a good idea, but how can we make it better? Iterate on that, and that's what we're doing with each of these things. It's like we come up with an idea, and we don't always get it right first time, but we can improve it. So yeah, that's why we're not doing the card packs. And like I say, it's partly a production issue as well, like production of cards. My free advice to anyone who's ever interested in getting involved in this crazy industry: don't do cards. And if you do cards, make all your cards the same size. And if you really, really want to be clever, make all your cards poker size and in poker size packs, so 52 to 54 cards. Doing mixed cards and cards of any number is just a logistical nightmare.
Well, just overall, a smaller amount of components is always better, because it means it's easier to produce, and it often translates into a far more streamlined experience when you want to play the damn thing,
Yeah.
Totally.
Wasteland Warfare is a big, broad, huge, sweeping game, and so nothing's changing with Wasteland Warfare anytime soon. So don't worry. This is not like this is an Ameritrash game. I guess this is the all bells, all whistles, 1,000 custom dice, 3 million tokens, cards. Like I'm drowning in cards. My floor is just a sea of.
And I wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah.
Oh, man.
This whole shelf is just all my cards.
Yeah, I literally have a mound behind me where I've been sleeving them all. This is a very timely conversation.
Shall we briefly touch on Jake Finch before we head on? This is like kind of the eagle-eyed amongst you may have seen Jake Finch before, but here he is. This is the actual, real, proper one. If you were worried you weren't going to get one, you will. Don't worry. It's all going to be okay.
Rumors of Jake Finch being a Gen Con exclusive were greatly exaggerated. He was not even supposed to be at Jake Finch. He snuck out. So Jake Finch, you can see him there with the shish kebab. And if you look at Slag, if you go back to Slag is also carrying the same shish kebab. So that's Jake's dad's sort of relic trophy weapon. And obviously the whole story arc is about, does he join the Forge? Do you rescue him? Does he go his own way? Whatever happens. And so again, there's that kind of that narrative nod between the two. It's the promo figure. We like to do a nice little heroic promo figure. So there you go. We've just thrown Slag up on the screen. You can see it's that's if Slag is given the sword, or possibly if Jake meets a sticky end, or quite a crispy end if you push him into the lava. It depends how you play. I always recommend rescuing Jake and taking him back to his folks and living happily on the farm. But,
and then stealing his sword.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't there a thing where you can kind of push him out of the area further enough away and it doesn't trigger, so you can just like murder him in front of? I don't know. I always go for the things you're not supposed to do in Fallout.
I always play Paragon, so I wouldn't know about that sort of thing.
Okay, of course you do. You're a very decent, upstanding individual.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's. All right. Let's not shame me.
Sorry.
Not too much. Don't want to get too used to this. but although I was going to make a connection, but it's so bad I won't. I'll just say now we're going to look at something for the Super Mutants. So there we go. That's going.
Oh, the concept art. That's right.
Concept art that never got made. Yeah.
So this
Never
is what
mentioned those words.
Just say this is what it's like. These guys are actually because we're live now. I was like, shall I just tell them we're about to go live? But they're like, look at that! Oh my god! Look at that! It's the Fallout 4 one. I was like, it's fine. We'll just go live like this. It's not a problem. You know,
so cool! Oh my god! Okay, there's a genuine but more explicit than that I could probably say on your guys' stream. So, yeah.
Exactly. These are kind of the second most disgusting mini I've ever had to deal with while doing Fallout stuff. The worst one was the Brahmin one with all the open sores. That one actually made me feel a little bit ill. So thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for
You're
that.
welcome for that one.
Thanks so much. But these guys, compared to that, they're beautiful. I can't stop looking at them. Someone else talk about them.
There's what to look at first. Is it the teeth coming out of the stomach or the blue tongues? I'm beside myself. This is amazing.
It's one of those things where I think the biggest compliment I can give these minis is that I almost vomited a little in my mouth, and that's like the best thing. You mean that is like a standing ovation for centaurs because they're absolutely horrid.
Yeah.
So good. And like super mutants, I feel in general, I mean, maybe it's just because, they're one of the first factions that came in the game, and everyone's got their enclave love or their, their BOS or whatever it is. But like for me still, super mutants are one of the best factions in the whole game if you're playing from either a narrative or a battle mode sort of style. And I kind of particularly I've been dying for centaurs for so long. And then there was that like little New Vegas sneak peek card in there, just the AI card that everyone's like, what have I missed? And
so that kind of shows our hand a little bit for the original timing of these models. So yes, these were supposed to be part of the New Vegas block and didn't quite make the cut for various annoying technical reasons, and then the card actually got printed. So yeah, people were like, why have I got this? Yeah, it was like the Centaur spit card was in the book and everyone was like, I don't understand, there's no centaurs. So finally we get to reveal the centaurs, and you can see we've done the one based on the Fallout 3 look. And because it's nice to mix things up and make sure we don't have clone models where possible, I went into the archives and I went digging, and there was this piece of concept art that was done for Fallout 4 that ultimately didn't get turned into an in-game asset. Instead, the Mutant Hounds came along. But I was like, if we just sculpted it and see what Bethesda say, and they were great and really happy with it. So yeah, so whilst the Fallout 4 Centaur doesn't actually appear in Fallout 4, the concept art was so good, and it's such a great variation. How could you not go like what a beautiful? I mean, it's a face. 4 faces only a mother could love. So finally that Centaur spit card can come into play. The full rules, the stat cards, the AI, everything will be in the Forge and Fire book, and you can add some hideous mutated monstrosities to your super mutant army. So good fun.
Lovely.
So cool.
Oh, Sam, which one is your favorite, and which one's most disgusting, and are they the same one?
I have a strange. This is a weird sentence to say, given how disgusting these things are. But I have a soft spot for the Fallout 3 kind of centaur sculpt, just because it's the centaur we all hate to come across. But I'm a big super mutant player, mainly because I usually win when I play as them. Therefore, they're my favorite faction. But yeah, so I mean, just being able to play with either of these, I think would be great. But I love the Fallout 3 sculpt. yeah, the concept art sculpt is just horrendous in the best way possible.
Best
and
way.
you know, looking way into the future, because obviously I'm in 2025 as you all sit here in 2022.
Yes.
That's not the last thing you'll see. That's many gross naked people smashed into each other looking weird. So let's see what 2024 2025 holds, because yeah, you know,
That is
maybe I've got a
definitely-
thing for body horror.
I really look forward to editing that video for a day and just looking at these lovely images. Thanks,
Do
John.
it before lunch, Steve. Is
Yeah,
what
might
I
have
think.
to.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
Well, with that in mind, let's look at some really beautiful things. Oh no.
Is it weird that I don't want to now? Like,
No,
that's-
I lied. I lied.
It's
It's,
worse.
it's the
Make it worse.
creatures, so not at all attractive. So here we go. Well, there we go. That was lovely, wasn't it?
That was
I think we all learned a lot about our own personal tolerance levels there. For really beautiful creature sets. So bloatflies were first.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think this is one of those. I'm going to just group the flies into one
Sure.
grotesque maggoty mass.
Yeah.
So
Please
all
do.
the flies were done by Domingo and Crispy, between the two of them, and this was one of those things. Pretty much since I joined, I was like, we got to do the flies at some point because they're such a common enemy. They're really gross. They're really icky and fun, and just so unusual as well because they're a flying enemy rather than a ground-based enemy. And it was always this thing of, oh, how are we going to do the legs? How are we going to do the wings? It's going to be really spindly and fiddly. And so it was again one of those. John comes in and throws down the gauntlet and says, now make flies. And everyone goes, we can't. Yeah, no, you're crazy. Don't do it. Don't do it. And then they go away and they work. The 3D team works their magic, and we come up with these incredible, gross, fun, crazy, weird creatures. And so there's 3 sets. Each one has 3 unique sculpts. One of the things I really wanted to do with this is, we've dabbled with clear resin in the past, and I thought, wouldn't it be fun to have clear wings just so it adds a level of realism, quote unquote. So yeah, they all come with transparent wings, so you just need to paint them separately or mask off the little bit of the wings and paint the back separately. And yeah, I don't know what else to say really. I think they're all on 40 mil bases from memory, so they're quite big because again that was a casting thing. We couldn't have these tiny spindly fragile bits, so they're what I would call mature / adult flies. So they're the kind of top level super hardcore flies that are really going to your stuff in. All sorts of fun details. There's drained prey on the blood bugs. There's gross sewerage outlets on the blowflies. There's a dead Brahmin on one of them because you often find them taken off the Brahmin. So yeah, really good fun to continue to expand both the creatures faction and just again those NPCs or those encounter level creatures. And I think we're really getting to that point now where we could put together a really nice kind of monster manual of Fallout really. And so if you're playing the RPG or if you're playing the 2D20 and you want to use miniatures in the 2D20, like be my guest, send me photos. I'd love to see it. We haven't done all the creatures yet, but we're getting closer and closer to finishing that. And maybe more creatures are on the way. Who can say? So yeah, really, as ever, like every time I throw the gauntlet down with the 3D team, 2 weeks later they come back and have just smashed it out of the park and have proved that they're some of the best. And there's a reason we I love working with them, and they make my day every time I see renders or get the first prints off the production line because this is minis of my life, and I just I get to stand on the shoulders of giants and totally take tiny bits of credit for all their awesome work. So yeah, really really sweet.
You give us great direction, so you don't
hopefully
don't discredit yourself.
Hopefully, unless I do something stupid like forget to put a pose on a brief, but luckily that sort of thing doesn't happen.
We'll just make our own pose. That's fine.
That totally has never happened in the last 2 weeks.
How do you describe the pose of a bloatfly on the brief?
Well, so reference. I think that's to peek behind the curtain again. One of the things that is part of the briefing process is I go away and obviously I look through Fallout and I look at screenshots where I go I've spent a lot of time running around various Fallout games getting things, but also then we look to nature and we look to photography, film stills, all that kind of stuff. Anything that the visual language that can inspire. One of the I hope one of the most useful things we can do is give more visual information to the sculptors, and then they kind of put that through their talent and convert that into an awesome pose. So yeah, so they're always based on some sort of posed reference, apart from when I forget to do it, which totally didn't happen. So yeah, I worry, like I'm sure somewhere's got a government folder of like this guy is always looking at guns and battle damage and corpses and weird
Nice.
drug ramp, and it's just like, what is this guy doing? Is he plotting something? It's like, no, I'm just researching miniatures because
I'm looking at pictures of bugs. And obviously we saw not just the bugs there, we also saw the rad stags.
Bambi and friends.
Yeah, it's like whatever happened to Bambi, eh? I mean, jeez.
Oh, nukes happened.
It's the weird arms that that are just, it's a great touch, and I hate it. It's so good. And what I really love about this wave too, so I mean you've got all these like two essentially sort of new kind of sub-factions kind of going on, and then this whole wave of creatures too, which I mean, keen-eyed folks will know that. I mean, in the Into the Wasteland expansion, you've got cards for bloatflies, stingwings, Radstags have shown up here and there in going way back to the first the RPG book that came out so long ago. So it's just really cool to see sort of that stuff sort of then getting represented, and also sort of what you're saying on the RPG side of things, too, especially if you're playing Into the Wasteland, which is my personal favorite game mode, because it has that real sort of real game interaction to it. Lets you have that randomized draw of like, oh, what am I now? I'm fighting a X, Y, and Z creature, and same with 2D20 as well, because we've got a litany of monsters in that book too. So really, really cool to see those. And the Radstags, they look just so sad and excellent. Yeah.
So adorable.
So adorable. He's on 40 mils too?
From memory,
yeah?
Yes. Or are they on 50s?
We think they're all 40 mils.
No, I'm pretty sure they're 40s from vague memory. Yeah.
Looks about right, yeah. The big buck with the one head up and the other one down like that.
I think my favorite one is the doe, the sort of looking the head back. So the idea there is that one of them sort of eating off the trees, and the other one's like, "Can I hear something?" And so so it's like the idea of the two brains, and like one of them's picked up, and the other one's off. Just what's going on over there? So
and that's where the Yao Guai comes up from behind.
Yeah.
Drop bears.
I've seen people say in chat as well, like, so yes, definitely do like glowing versions. And I said this last year, and I said it between the team here, like, please someone do UV glow paints on any of your glowing things, because it just adds like such a cool feature. And I would love to see the Yao Guai, the Brahmin, any of these guys, the bloatflies, obviously there's glowing versions, just like make it that extra, and please show me those models.
So that's a Fallout Friday challenge. People paint their UV glowing creatures, and we want to do a Fallout Friday dedicated to glowing things.
Yes.
Be that terrain, be that. That's my challenge for what are we now? September, October. Let's have glowing October, a spooky radioactive glowing October.
I like that.
Oh, that's a great call. I'm gonna bust out the Tesseract glow paint somewhere here.
Be like killer Fallout from outer space.
Amazing. So that is Forged in the Fire.
So cool.
Before, not that we've got anything else to show you, but really, I'd like to ask Ryan and Sam, anything. What was the thing that stood out that you're like, that's the first thing on the painting table?
You go first, Sam. I got to think about this for a minute.
So anytime I see like new waves, I'm always looking for. I don't know about the rest. For me, I get you're collecting so many minis. So many of them are grey, and I look for like the easy wins that I can paint to kind of give myself that little like self pat in the back, like, oh, you're so well done. Let's get the rest of them painted. So for me, it's the bloatflies, because they seem like they're the ideal mini, much like the rad roaches and the mole rats, where it's super easy to like very quickly do a really cool looking paint job on them with very little work, because the sculpts and the way that they're at, and just the nature of bloatflies as well, really easy to make them look cool quickly. I'll feel good about myself, and then I'll do a horrible job of the rest of them. But at least the bloatflies will look good.
That's all you need.
There's Julian's done a painting guide for the bloatflies and a painting guide for glowing in the book. So if you're looking for help with how to get them painted, guess what? We got you covered.
Hey.
There you go.
Cool. What about you, Ryan?
I think it's gotta be. I think it's got to be the forged core for me, mainly because I love to hate my raiders. If there's one model, it's probably Bedlam with the, I think it's the one with the super sledge there. I've had the astounding pleasure of playtesting some of these models way back when, and they are a ton of fun. And if a lot of folks like raiders, I like my raiders. I lose every time I play them. I don't care. I will play them again. They're a fantastic faction, and these add just a little extra something. And any model carrying around a super sledge, I'm in. I'm sold. Yeah.
Amazing. Cool. Well, like I said, that's Forged in the Fire, but we started with some art. Let's have some more art. John, what are you tell us about this?
So obviously Forged in the Fire is Wave 7, and that was where I got my hands on a kick-ass Fallout artist, and actually, bizarrely again, because time is what it is, this was the first piece that was done, and then Forged in the Fire was the second piece that was done, but they're releasing in the opposite order because things are strange in my world. And so yeah, so this is Capital, and we're currently going back and forward on whether it's Capital with an O or Capital with an A for various reasons. But yeah, so this is our return to the events of Fallout 3 and the characters of Fallout 3, and I think again, because each book is an iteration, one of the things I really wanted to do with this book is the idea is this is going to be a really nice package for anyone who likes to play the Enclave, or anyone who likes to play the Brotherhood with that Fallout 3 flavour. So we're going to be reprinting the existing Enclave troops, but also expanding on them. And I'm not going to tell you what, because that's for the future. And so, you know, you'll be able to buy this book if you just want to play the Enclave. Every Enclave miniature that exists will be in there, and some new stuff. There'll be, you know, Fallout 3 content. There'll be painting guides. There'll be strategy guides, scenarios. The regional overlays, like I was saying, and the regional overlays will be separated, so you can literally take them out of the book, put them next to the table. All your Stranger Danger Creature event tables are there in front of you with all the rules on the sheet. It's it's all about removing barriers to entry for me at the moment. That is like my #1 mission with Fallout Wasteland Warfare. Is the game's amazing. How do we get more people playing it? How do we, like, it's how quickly can I get you to the table rolling dice, having fun? That's the plan. So yeah,
Brilliant.
so another amazing piece of artwork. You know, we've got Lions Brotherhood. So again, if you've been playing recently or you've been playing so far, we tend to focus around the Maxon Brotherhood, the Fallout 4 era. This is the Lions Brotherhood, so Elder Lions, Sarah Lions, the Lions Pride, all that kind of stuff. You're going to see some of that.
Yes.
There's also some stuff in there that you may not expect, but I'm not going to tell you what it is because that's for the future. The one thing I do want to talk about is the next slide, I believe, Steve, because this is also important in the evolution of Modiphius miniatures and the evolution of the Fallout Wasteland Warfare range. So if you want to skip to the next one.
So what could this highly interesting plastic sprue do?
Well, Steve's kind of tipped our hand there. So
it's
yeah,
a picture of a plastic sprue.
The first plastic sprue for Wasteland Warfare.
Wow.
And
Unreal.
It's been a really interesting time because just over a year ago, actually, I had an email from a certain somebody, and I've basically been, you know, as if my 3D team were not talented enough, I got my hands on an incredibly talented plastic sculptor. So, you know, plastic is an engineering challenge. You saw it, you know, we've done plastic before with the Elder Scrolls range, and those were resin miniatures that were converted to plastic, and that comes with some limitations and it comes with some technical things. And so when I got this email, and a gentleman by the name of Colin Grayson, which is a name that some of you who've been in this game as long as I have will know, came to me, and he has been sculpting plastic miniatures for quite a long time for a certain other company, and he joined the crew, and so these have been sculpted for plastic from the ground up. So, you know, done with draft in mind, done with, you know, component kit in mind, and it's been, you know, incredible. He's brought you know, a wealth of talent in this new area, and what's so good about working with him. So this kit is obviously the T45 kit, which T45 armor is the kind of the core of the Lions Brotherhood, and so this kit builds 3 T45 Knights with swappable heads and quite a few different weapon options.
Ooh,
and what's really funky about these is each one builds kind of 2. So, you know, heavy weapon, missile launcher, heavy weapon, incinerator. But because yeah, this is one of the things I didn't ask for this, but Colin gifted it to me. Every single arm is compatible with every single body. So even though there's kind of like these are the ways you're supposed to build them, you can actually mix and match everything across the entire set, and so you can have more options than I expected. So that's incredible. So these are all based on the Fallout 3 sculpts. We do actually have Fallout 4 weapons as well, which is going to be a resin upgrade kit. We couldn't fit it all on the sprue. You know, plastic limitations are there's only so much you can do, and it, you know, it costs so much money to tool and so on and so forth. So these will be Fallout 3 plastics, resin upgrades to be Fallout 4. There is more plastic planned. We are certainly not converting the entire line over to plastic because, you know, A, I'd have to get everyone trained up. B, it's an incredible expense. C, it's not always the right choice. So this is not going to replace resin completely. Resin is still very much our kind of bread and butter. But what you're going to see more and more is troop options being done in plastic where I can do it, and certainly core sets. So you'll be able to build a nice variable set of miniatures in the plastics, and then characters, creatures, big figures in particular, they'll stay in resin. for all sorts of boring technical reasons. But yeah, really, really good fun. And so yeah, so I've built these as 3D prints. I've yet to get my hands on the first test frames. They are currently in tooling. But it's going to be exciting, and it's certainly the start of some very interesting things.
Yeah.
These are very, very much based on the Fallout 4 version of the T-45, so they match with the existing resin sets that we do. The weapons are Fallout 3, so a bit like with the Enclave, we stuck to the Fallout 3 styling, and obviously with the Capital Wave, because it's based mostly around Fallout 3, but maybe there's some surprises in there. Most of the weapons being carried are the Fallout 3 styling. So if you like your Fallout 3, you like your kind of that vision of the Fallout universe, will be looked after there. But yeah, so it's been awesome having Colin on board. He's only, as if I didn't love my team enough, I've now got Colin with his decades of experience and decades of awesome stories. And yeah, just we're gonna be doing plastic and expect to see more.
Amazing.
I'm not going to say any more about Capital because we're going to have I'm sure we'll be here in 6 months' time.
We'll do something pretty much the same again.
Probably going to be sooner than that. It's probably going to be early next year, Steve, because this is a short wave. Like I think that's the one thing to bear in mind. Forged is a short wave, so it's not going to be a full 6-month wave because there's not as much in it. It was kind of a top up to Commonwealth, so we'll probably have to book in a ModCon Lite or a Fallout ModCon.
We'll do a Fallout, probably do a Fallout stream or something like we did with Commonwealth. But yeah, so that's a very good subtle way of saying please do drop a follow and pop on YouTube as well, because that's where we tend to put all these things. If you like looking at videos of things, then do that, because we don't stream very often, but YouTube is where we put all of our stuff. We've got one more thing to show. Do you want to say anything, John, or shall I just
let's throw it up, and then I'm going to be very, very brief for this, A, because I talk too much, and B, because I don't want to reveal too much yet, but I've got a couple of things I want to say about this. So throw it up, and then we'll talk.
Sure, here we go. There we go.
Brace for impact.
Okay.
Fallout Factions, Nuka-World.
What is Fallout Factions? You'll find out next year.
Thanks for coming, everyone. We'll see you.
Thanks for No, I'm not going to be that cruel. So, Fallout Factions is a new game. So this is not Fallout Wasteland Warfare. This is not your mum's Fallout Wasteland Warfare. This is something a little bit different. So we've spoken a lot about Fallout Wasteland Warfare tonight, and about how it's it's bigger than a PvP game. It's a narrative game. It's a soft RPG in many respects. But I know some people, myself maybe included, do like a bit of the old PvP. And what this is a new game, so it's a brand new system. It does not use any of the Wasteland Warfare rules. It's being written from the ground up. The designer is a certain James Hewitt, who is a name that some of you may know. And James and I go back a long way. He actually trained me on my first day with Games Workshop. That's how I met him, and we've had a history since then. So he is probably familiar to some of you. He's written things like the new Necromunda, Adeptus Titanicus, some of the Age of Sigmar stuff, and a lot of the old GW standalone games. So he's writing a game for me. Fallout Factions is the game, and Nuka-World is the first bit of it. So that probably tells you who's in it. So there will be 3 gangs plus 2 extra factions. There's 5 factions in Factions 1. And if all goes to plan and everyone likes it and it goes well, there will be more coming. Again, plastic sets for the first for the core gangs. So the Forged,
cool.
Sorry, not the Forged. that's the last one. Sorry, the Pack, the Operators, and the Disciples will be coming in plastic. No custom dice. It uses D10, so people who are not into their custom dice, don't worry. This one uses standard D10 polyhedrals. Component complexity reduced, so again faster to table, and it's that very kind of Necromunda-y gang system. Your leaders level up. You can do PvP campaigns, and the idea is it's kind of who takes over the park.
So cool.
That's all I'm going to say for now, because it's it's still. I mean, this has been going for quite some time, but we're still very much in the kind of the dev cycle phase. The miniatures are nearly done. Oh, the other thing to bear in mind as well that's very important. This is not replacing Wasteland Warfare. So anyone who likes Wasteland Warfare, don't worry. This is not replacing it. This is an addition to, and Wasteland Warfare remains the core line. Wasteland Warfare, the RPG system, remains the core way of doing things. All the miniatures are the same. So, Nuka-World miniatures will be cross-compatible, same scale, like literally it's the same product.
Oh, cool.
So you won't have to buy new models. If you buy the models for this, there may or may not be a Nuka-World supplement coming soon, and I think it's actually coming out before Factions arrives. So you will have exactly the same models, and you can switch between the two systems. It's awesome. It's going to be awesome. I can't say much more yet because this is the wonders of you never know what production woes are going to throw at you. So I'm not going to give you dates yet. But yeah, James Hewitt designing, Colin Grayson sculpting, plastic gangs, 5 to 15 miniatures per side. Slog out with your gang, take them on a journey of discovery and adventure and mischief in the Nuka-World Park. And if it goes to plan, expect more in the future.
Very excellent. Unreal. All the questions. Yeah. All the questions.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah.
I like the fact every time you said that's all I'm going to say, there was 2 people in chat going, but what about this? And it's like, no, that's really all I'm going to say. But then you went on to say other things, which is, so it balanced out either way. Cool. So I think what we'll do is we will probably wrap up there because we've overrun a little bit. Thank you everyone for hanging out and talking Fallout with us. Ryan and Sam, we're not letting them go anywhere. They are going to be locked in a Discord server for about 10 minutes. Then we will let them out again and make them do it all again, but with Elder Scrolls. John will be replaced by Gavin, the Doomborn himself.
Another man with a beard as well.
The Doomborn, that's something else entirely. The Dragonborn. And Joe will be replaced by Johnny, one of our other 3D sculptors. And so please do hang out. We're going to show the whole rest of Chapter 3. Plus, like we did with Fallout, maybe there'll be some other stuff afterwards. I don't know. I'm not your mum. But yeah, so thanks very much. And we will see you in a little bit. I've got to find the right button.
Bye. Woo! Bye.